The American Revolution. Introduction. Introduction. By 1763, Britain had defeated France, its chief competitor for prominence in North America, and stood at the height of 18th century imperial power. Ironically, this greatest of British triumphs would turn into one of the greatest of British defeat. After 1763, the war and the conquest of North American territories stopped. It was a time of imperial reorganization, but this reorganization led to conflict between Britain and its American colonies. Britain was looking for a way to pay off the enormous debt accumulated during the war and naturally tighten its control over colonial affairs. The colonists widely resisted this effort to centralize decision-making in London. Chapter 1. A. Imperial Warfare. Chapter 1. A. Imperial Warfare. From 1760 to 1763, the American colonists found embroiled in two major European wars: King George's War, the War of the Austrian Succession from 1740 to 1748, and the French and Indian War, also called the 7 Years' War, from 1756 to 1763. Chapter 1. A. Imperial Warfare. Despite the European roots of their conflicts, few colonists doubted that their prosperity depended on British victories. The wars produced mixed results. They strengthened the bonds between the British and the Anglo-Americans as they fought side by side. The conclusion of each war planted the seeds first of misunderstanding, then of suspicion, and finally of hostility between the former compatriots. One. King George's War, 1744-1748, a comprehensive overview. A chronological summary of main events. A. March 1744. France declared war on Britain, initiating King George's War at the North American theatre of the War of the Austrian Succession. B. June 1745. Capture of Louisbourg, a key event wherein New England colonial forces under William Pepperell and supported by a British fleet captured the French fortress of Louisbourg on Cape Breton Island. C. 1746. A French retaliatory expedition against New England led by the Duc d'Anville failed due to storms and disease. D. 1747. Continued border raids occurred in New York and New England, marked by skirmishes and attacks on settlements. E. October 1748. Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle ended the war and restored conquered territories including Louisbourg to France, much to the dismay of New Englanders. Key characters. 1. William Shirley, Governor of Massachusetts, a major planner and supporter of the Louisbourg expedition. 2. William Pepperell, commander of the New England forces that captured Louisbourg, later awarded a baronetcy. 3. Jean-Baptiste Louis Le Prévost, Marquis de Vaudreuil, French commander in Canada, involved in northern defense. 4. Duc d'Anville led the failed French expedition to retake Louisbourg. 5. Governor Beauharnois, governor of New France, coordinated defences against British colonial incursions. Quotations from key characters. No quotation from this period. Political, economic, and symbolic value. A. Political significance. 1. Colonial military assertiveness. Demonstrated the capacity of American colonists to organize and execute major military campaigns independently, particularly the siege of Louisbourg. 2. Strain imperial relations. The return of Louisbourg to France in the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, without colonial consent, created significant resentment and underscored the tensions between imperial policy and colonial expectations, a precursor to revolutionary grievances. B. Economic consequences. 1. Costly engagements. The war disrupted trade and brought financial strain to New England, which had financed the Louisbourg campaign largely on its own. 2. Imperial reimbursements. Britain eventually reimbursed Massachusetts for the Louisbourg expedition, but delays deepened economic discontent. C. Symbolic implications. 1. Imperial disillusionment. The war fostered a sense of disillusionment with British priorities, especially in the wake of the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle. New Englanders viewed the return of Louisbourg as a betrayal, symbolizing the marginal status of colonial interest in imperial diplomacy. 2. Colonial identity formation. The war marked a moment of emerging regional unity and self-reliance among British North American colonies, paving the ideological groundwork for the Revolutionary War. Two, the 7 Years' War, from 1754 to 1763, a comprehensive overview. Chronological summary of main events. A. 1754. Conflict begins in North America with the Battle of Grenville Glen, where a young George Washington engages French forces in the Ohio Valley. B. 1755. British General Edward Braddock is defeated at the Battle of Monongahela. C. 1756. Formal declarations of war between Britain and France mark the beginning of global hostilities. D. 1757. French victories culminate in the capture of Fort William Henry. E. 1758. British turned the tide by capturing Louisbourg and Fort Duquesne. E. 1759. Annus Mirabilis. British capture Quebec, Battle of the Plains of Abraham, Wolfe and Montcalm die. F. 1760. Montreal surrenders. British control of Canada is complete. E. 1763. Treaty of Paris is signed. France cedes Canada and lands east of the Mississippi to Britain. Spain cedes Florida. France retains Caribbean islands. Key characters. 1. George Washington, Virginia militia officer. His 1754 actions ignite the war in North America. 2. Edward Braddock, British general defeated in 1755. 3. William Pitt the Elder, British Secretary of State, architect of Britain's global strategy. Four. James Wolfe, British general who captures Quebec in 1759. 5. Marquis de Montcalm, French general who defends New France, killed at Quebec. 6. King George II and King Louis XV, monarchs of Britain and France. 7. Frederick the Great, key Prussian ally of Britain fighting in Europe. 8. Etienne François Choiseul, Duc de Choiseul, French foreign minister and war leader. Quotations from key characters. I know that I can save this country, and that I alone can. William Pitt, 1757. Reflects his pivotal role in reorganizing British strategy. I would rather die than live to see the ruin of my country. James Wolfe, 1759. Attributed near the time of his death at Quebec. So many brave fellows who have died for their country. I must now follow them. Montcalm, 1759. Allegedly said before his death. Political, economic, and symbolic value. A. Political significance. 1. Imperial overhaul. The war resulted in the vast expansion of British territory, particularly in North America and India. 2. Colonial tensions. British attempts to tax colonies, which is the Stamp Act, to pay for war debts, sowed the seeds of the American Revolution. 3. End of French North America. France's loss of Canada dramatically restructured the political landscape. B. Economic consequences. 1. Massive debt. Britain incurred a national debt that compelled new colonial tax policies. 2. Mercantilist shift. Control over key trade routes and colonies expanded Britain's commercial empire. 3. French retrenchment. France reoriented its focus to internal reform and maritime resilience. C. Symbolic implications. 1. Turning point in colonial identity. American colonists gained military experience and began questioning imperial authority. 2. Global imperial contests. The war symbolized the apex of European great power rivalry across 5 continents. 3. Heroic imagery and martyrdom. Heroic imagery and martyrdom, figures like Wolfe and Montcalm became symbols of sacrifice and national valor. Thank you for watching the first episode of the American Revolution, Chapter 1, Imperial Warfare. The next episode of the American Revolution, Chapter 2, Imperial Reorganization, is coming soon on Mega Easy English.